Okay, good morning, everybody from Wesley Hills. We got trees outside. Um, Past few days I was in Boynton Beach actually, not too far from Boca. Flew in. Now we're in Wesley Hills, and then back to Boise, Idaho next week, couple days. So interesting parsha. The next few weeks, at least 3 weeks out of the next 9, um, directly with Tochacha. Devarim Akev as the major Tochacha weeks. Aktekach, one of the names of Devarim is actually Sefer HaTochacha, which I don't think I knew. My little son Shmuel, he knew this. I don't know if I knew this. I don't know if people know this or not, but you got Mishnah Torah, one name, Sefer HaYashar, and Sefer HaTochacha, because for 36 days, Rosh Chodesh until Zion Adar, Moshe gives Tochach to the Jewish people, and all the Mefarshim talk about the manner in which Tochacha is given by Moshe. First of all, it's hints. Arva, Mosuf, Paran, Tofel. Again, we had 42 places last week, and which places that are mentioned to are not those places. Tofel, where, Dizahav, there's no Dizahav in the 42 places. Well, these are hints to things that are theirs that took place, whether they complain about the mun, or whether they bow down to the Egel, Dizahav. Kliakos is different Ramazim. Either way, the manner in which Tochach is given is highlighted in the parsha by all the Mefarshim. All. How do you do this? So first of all, Moshe does this beremiza, does this with hints, not saying directly that bears they did, but kind of using devarim, using some ramazim, using different hints, and letting it up to the people to really understand what's supposed to take place. Because he calls all the people together. And the Kliyakar says, all the people together, some people have no idea what the heck they're talking about, because some people are too young to experience the Egel. Most people that did, well, if you bow down to the Egel, you weren't there anymore, you were dead. And if you were of age, an adult, you also did not make it to this point. This was 40 years, literally 39 years, 40 years after the Chet Egel. So these people weren't around anymore. Perhaps they heard about it. There's rumor. They're talking about it. People complaining about the Meraglim. They weren't even there. Or if they did complain, they died in the 39 years. So a lot of these people either did not experience it directly, or they were too young to be punished with these things. So they really weren't affected. So it's really up to the job Moshe gave to the Gedolim, the Roshehem, to really speak and kind of understand how the message is supposed to be filtered down to the people that either did not do it, or they weren't alive, or they were too young. And that was really kind of the lesson the Kliyok, I think, brings out what he's trying to say, is that Tochacha, Ramazim, go to everybody, and it's up to the Gedolim now to filter this out. It's kind of like an Arshul. Whenever the rabbi has something to say, more sensitive nature, so after Friday, the Gabbai will say, after the announcements, the rabbi will speak for a few minutes. The children should leave. And oh boy, so me and Dan were like, oh boy, it's not going to be good. It's either something really inappropriate for children. And the key is that adults should understand it, even though me and some other fellows are kind of snickering like children, unfortunately. That's another discussion for another shiur. But it's really up to us now to explain to the children in the way that we fold appropriate. Maybe that's the rabbi's point. The rabbi's not here to kind of speak to the children directly. Really, it's up to the parents to understand it, and then to really kind of understand how you explain some of these more sensitive material to your 7-year-old, 9-year-old, 15-year-old, 14-year-old. That's up to the parent to do that. So perhaps this is what the Kliyakar is alluding to. Also, the point is what's the point of mussar anyway? So it's interesting. Just last night, a guy in shul was talking to me. He goes, "Oh, I remember you. I don't know your name, but you made a seam on the Kliyakar a few years ago." So I'm like, that was me. Good memory. This guy's name was Baker. Didn't know his first name. I actually forgot his first name already. But I was thinking about, I learned Kliyakar for a few years, and then I went to other Svarim, and I kind of focused in the past 3 years, Sfas Emes, 4 years actually, Sfas Emes and Pri Tzadik. And there's a huge difference between Kliyakar's teachings and more Hasidish teachings. And the difference is Kliyakar was famous for speaking to different towns, traveling Poland, going to Prague, and really speaking a lot about mussar and some of the social events that were taking place at the time, whether it was people not giving enough tzedakah, whether it's people speaking lashon hara, whether it's people that were paying for positions to be chazanim in shuls, different big houses, wealth, people being too showy, how bad that was, different, taking the Torah and throwing a lot of his beliefs, some of his social commentary and mussar intertwined with this. The stark contrast really is the Chassidish Torah. Sfas Emes, Pri Tzadik, in 3-4 years of learning this almost every day, week by week, almost nothing about people, being too wealthy, not a word about lashon hara, coming late to shul, nothing about that. So where's the balance? Where is this? And that's something I think we all, some weeks we need to be inspired and hear good things about ourselves. And then sometimes we need a little tachacha. We need something to wake us up. The Sefer Osa Plum that I got talks about, Mamre Plum, talks about that Chassam Sofer would shake. He'd be on fire for these weeks when he would hear devarim, Eschan Ekev, the major tachacha weeks. He would be on fire. He'd be on fire. And there's certain rabbis that wouldn't go a day without learning devarim. Devarim is the ultimate mussar sefer. Hearing mussar, hearing something to wake you up, le'orer. And that's really the line that's used in the sefer, is le'orer. The manner it's supposed to do it. And Kliyakar says, if you're going to do it in a way that people aren't going to reject you, don't do it. If you're going to say to someone who's not going to listen, just going to give you something silly like a let's or balavera, don't do it. Better not to do it. You're just causing sinna. So the purpose is to really find the way that's going to kind of inspire a person to do this the right way, whatever the case may be. If the person's, someone's walking in traffic or child, you can't just let things go. You got to take action. But sometimes you have to kind of be smart and know your relationship with that person, know the situation the person's in. One of the things that's kind of interesting is, I try to be on time for shul and not to leave early. But that's because I don't do carpool before, and I don't do carpool after, and I don't go to work after. So seeing somebody, and again, it's based on halacha, what to do when people are late to shul. What do you skip? What do you say? So it's not like people only coming late to shul, the past 20 years. People have been, unfortunately, coming late, for hundreds of years, maybe even longer, and it's baked into halacha what to do. And certain circumstances call for certain situations that are different than halacha. The Ali Shur really quotes and really talks about, Velby talks about that mussar is really looking at your situation and your place. It's different. If you have 3 hours to do nothing, then not learning is a problem. But if you're working and you don't have 3 hours because you have to take care of your kids and you have things to do, shalom bayis issues, and you don't learn Torah in those 3 hours, not end of the world. It's really your circumstances. So people that are kind of running out of shul because they have to go take the kid to carpool or take their wife somewhere, or a doctor, that's one situation. As opposed to some people that are just running out of shul or middle for no reason. That's something a little different. So that's, again, how do you approach someone? Someone taking tefillin off the middle, someone in Kaddish not supposed to, make hafsaka, so there's different situations, but the real key is to know who you're speaking to, what that person's situation is, and then doing it in the right way, the nice way. If you have a kesher with someone, the person knows you're trying to help them out, you're trying to show them, your tefillin is off, because if it's too low, there's no mitzvah. Is there a nice way to say it? Is there a way that's not nice to say it? About a half a year ago in Woodmere, I was debating whether to say something, and I went over to this guy, and I said, again, I'm not a rabbi, but tefillin's really, oh yes, thank you for telling me. There's some ways. I once gave mussar to a guy who was drinking coffee in middle shul, during laning, and I'm like, after davening, I said, listen, again, I'm not a rabbi, but Laning rolls around, you have a kiddush issue, and you can't just drink coffee. When there's a kiddush issue after Baruch She'amar, thanks for telling me, I didn't know. Turns out I found out later the guy had a gun, so I probably wouldn't have said it, by the way, if I would have known that before. But either way, the real key of mussar is to know the situation before you say something, and to kind of say it in a way that's going to inspire someone and not make the person hate you. And that's kind of really what we're going for, especially during the 9 days. And with that, hopefully we don't have a Tisha B'Av that we have to fast. Next week, hopefully we can turn things around. We'll have the Geula. We'll have a third bias, hopefully by next week. And we won't have to fast. And if we do have to fast, I hope we have an easy fast, a meaningful fast. And with that, Shabbat Shalom.